Hello and how's it going, everybody? It is Skullzi here with the latest and the greatest gaming news, and today we're talking about a dramatic, controversial situation regarding the soundtrack for The Elder Scrolls 6. I think there's a lot going on here, a lot more than meets the eye, a lot more than what other people reporting on this may realize, so I wanted to bring this to your attention today. And I did actually have this lined up for you yesterday, but YouTube was down for most of the day. I couldn't upload anything for hours, and by the late evening when it finally was working, if I would have uploaded this, it would have totally thrown off the YouTube algorithm for me, and it would have not worked out in my favor. So it's actually kind of good that this got pushed until today, because that gave me a little bit more time to dig into this to try and paint you an even more complete picture on this crazy situation. And we're gonna start this journey right here on Twitter with Jeremy Soule tweeting, and look at who he's replying to. Pete Hines and Bethesda are actually right in there along with what he's saying, so he knows what he's saying is being directly projected to everyone and towards Bethesda. And I say this because everyone, including myself, would love Jeremy Soule to do the soundtrack for The Elder Scrolls 6, because if you don't know already, Jeremy Soule did the soundtrack for Morrowind, Oblivion, and Skyrim, and he's the one that essentially composed the identity, the soundtrack, the theme for The Elder Scrolls in general. Even years after I play an Elder Scrolls game, I find myself humming his music in my head, because the adventures, the music of the Elder Scrolls games have always been an important part in the experience, and a ton of other people agree, and that's why we all would love to see Jeremy Soule do the soundtrack for The Elder Scrolls 6. All due respect to Ian Zur, I love his stuff as well. He did an amazing job in Dragon Age. I would love to see him do the soundtrack for Starfield, but I still want Jeremy Soule to do the soundtrack for Elder Scrolls 6, please Bethesda. But I do not think that's gonna happen. At least if it does, there needs to be a very good conversation to happen between Jeremy Soule and Bethesda, because there is some evidence to paint a picture here that I'll talk about here in a few more minutes. But keep in mind that Jeremy Soule knows a lot of people want him to do the soundtrack for The Elder Scrolls 6, and Bethesda knows that as well. And here is Jeremy Soule tweeting directly at everyone, including Bethesda themselves. So he is almost calling Bethesda out here. I believe that with these tweets, Jeremy Soule is calling Bethesda out. What he actually says is, while I've not said much about this, out of courtesy to Bethesda, I would never turn my back on The Elder Scrolls, and I believe that my involvement would hinge on a creative decision on their part and where they want to take the franchise. To confirm, I'm currently not involved with The Elder Scrolls 6. He's very respectful here, very, very kind. As you can see, he's treating it professionally, but there are professional ways to do things, such as call somebody out or to try and hasten a situation so you can have a better understanding of what the outcome will be. I think Jeremy Soule wants to know if he's going to be involved in The Elder Scrolls 6. I think he knows that they're at least in early production stages with The Elder Scrolls 6, and even though music is usually created towards the middle of the game, that way the composer has a sense of the world to influence what kind of music he will create for the game, it is still quite possible that Jeremy Soule could have been contacted by Bethesda, so maybe he's feeling a bit nervous. Maybe he's using the community right now as an advantage, because he knows everyone wants him to do the soundtrack for Bethesda. Maybe he kind of has an idea that Bethesda's gonna go with someone else and he doesn't like it. Maybe that's his fear, so this is his way, kind of a desperate way, but a careful and safe one, because he's doing it professionally to try to get some sort of answer from Bethesda. Because it's not only him wanting this, there's thousands of people wanting this as well, so there's a lot of weight on this situation. That is how hyped The Elder Scrolls 6 is. We're all talking about the music this much. But anyway, this Twitter thing continues. Jeremy Soule goes on to say, in response to someone else, he says, "Thank you, but you're fine. Ian Zur is scoring blades, and I'm confident in the work that he will do." Brad Derrick at The Elder Scrolls Online has also done a fine job, which I agree with. I did like The Elder Scrolls Online music. He goes on to say, either of these composers could score The Elder Scrolls 6. It may be time for new creativity for The Elder Scrolls 6, but I'm ready if Bethesda calls. You can see it. He's saying it right here. He's ready. He wants to do it. Why would he be saying all this? Why would he be saying that, as well as saying in this tweet that he would never turn his back on The Elder Scrolls, directed right towards Pete Hines and Bethesda? Why would he be saying all this if it wasn't at least some sort of political and diplomatic move to see what the current situation is? Maybe he's hoping for Bethesda to respond and say that they're not at the stage in which they're making the music for The Elder Scrolls 6 yet, or that The Elder Scrolls 6 isn't being made yet because Starfield's next or something. Maybe he just wants some kind of confirmation, because maybe he loves The Elder Scrolls as much as we do, and he is just desperate to be involved. He is a human being after all. He has passion. He's an artist, of course. Why would he not want to continue something he's passionate about? It looks like The Elder Scrolls music influenced him and influenced his creative mind as well. I bet you he is dying to be involved, and it's killing him to not know, and it's killing him even more to think that maybe he may not be involved, because it's getting even closer to when Starfield is going to come out. You think that they're probably working on The Elder Scrolls 6 at least by a year of pre-production by now, if not more, which I believe is much more. I'm sure he's aching with the response even more than the community is. That's why I think he's directing these tweets towards PC Deacon and Bethesda Studios. Even if he didn't tag them, he knows they're tagged, and he knows every word he says is going to be watched very closely, because why would Bethesda not watch what this guy guy saying if A, they're gonna hire him, or B, they're not gonna hire him. They're gonna be watching him either way. Now, he ends this Twitter thing by saying he'd like to discourage any petitions or lobbying as much as I appreciate enthusiasm for his music. This will backfire, it's really early, and I'm simply trying to get expectations with my fans and let you all know while I'm being excited about the future. Keep an open mind. So I wonder if he got nervous with this. Like I said, I believe he was playing a diplomatic card here, trying to kind of call Bethesda out. I wonder if a few minutes later he calmed down, got nervous, and did this as kind of like a coverall, saying, hey, people, calm down, don't do petitions, don't do anything crazy, it'll backfire for me, they may not even hire me if you do this. I'm just trying to set expectations with fans and let you all know while I'm excited about the future. Now, I don't know exactly where he's going with this towards the end. I don't know if he's trying to backpedal and make it seem like he wasn't calling Bethesda out. I don't know Jeremy Soule personally. Maybe he isn't the most social person and he didn't mean to make it seem like he was calling Bethesda out. He was just talking out of passion. Went back, realized he couldn't edit, didn't want to delete the tweets to make it look weird. So this is his way of saying, hey, just to be clear, I wasn't calling Bethesda out. Don't do any petitions, don't do anything. I just want you all to know I'm not involved. But the thing is, why would he even say he's not involved? That is so risky in the first place. It's so risky for him to even publicly say he's not involved in the Elder Scrolls 6 during a time when everyone is talking about whether or not he's involved and begging for him to be involved. That is why I believe that Jeremy Soule literally just called Bethesda out on Twitter, searching for some sort of answer if he's going to be hired for the soundtrack for the Elder Scrolls 6. Now, why do I think he may not be hired? There is some drama going on with Jeremy Soule. There's some controversy over on Patreon regarding his own album that he's making. It's years after when it supposedly would have been finished, and people have been giving him a lot of money for that album. There's some controversy around official soundtracks for games. Some people have bought soundtracks for Guild Wars and even for Skyrim and haven't received these soundtracks from Jeremy Soule as much as 4 years later, with no contact between his sales team or the consumers, which is pretty big and paints a really big red flag in terms of your business reputation right there. Jeremy Soule may be an excellent composer, in fact he is, but his business acumen may not be all there, or maybe he's just so super busy that he takes on so many projects and overwhelms himself and stuff falls behind. Either way, there is a possibility that his reputation may be a bit tarnished by this situation involving the official soundtracks for games not being given to people until years after they bought them, as well as the situation on Patreon, and then some sort of legal issue that may be going on with Jeremy Soule and Guild Wars 2, which is a whole nother situation that I don't know too much about. All I know is some people are arguing with Jeremy Soule, saying they use parts of their music, so that's a whole nother thing. And then on top of that, Jeremy Soule just signed an exclusive deal with Sony Online Entertainment for EverQuest Next, which actually is what ended his involvement with the Guild Wars franchise, which he worked with a lot. So it looks like Jeremy Soule may come with a bit of baggage. It looks like his reputation hasn't been the best lately in terms of keeping up to his business promises and expectations, so maybe Bethesda might be backing off because of that. But I do ultimately agree with Jeremy Soule. It's a little too early to tell who exactly will be involved with the soundtrack of the Elder Scrolls 6, because they usually get the soundtracks made towards the middle of the development cycle. That way they have a world to inspire the composer to write this music about. But as always, I want to know what you have to say about all of this down in the comments below. Do you agree that Jeremy Soule straight up called Bethesda out, seeking for some sort of answer or some sort of update on the situation, using the fans as a catalyst? Let me know down in the comments below, and if your comment wins the internet and may get featured in a future video. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to stay in the know when it comes to gaming news. Follow me on Twitter for the latest channel updates and random shit about me. And if you want to have your hand in providing featured content and defending the channel from bullshit video takedowns, then consider subscribing to the community on Patreon, where you can earn unique and awesome awards. And don't forget to check for links to the channel, Discord chat server, and for my Twitch channel down in the description below. And as always, thank you for watching. Be sure to tune in next time when Bethesda hosts a major event where Jeremy Soule and Enan Zur must compose music to battle to the death for Todd Howard's amusement!
Bye, have a great time.